Hey everybody, and welcome to the first day of spring. Here we are. Spring arrived today. I'm glad about that. Get the grass growing and the trees coming out. It's good times. All right, we have a bunch of pictures to do in just a second. We're going to go through some news. I just want to let you know what's coming up this week. Tomorrow, we're dropping an extra video. It's going to be the Nissan Sentra. A lot of people are complaining about gas prices. Cars are expensive. You know what the forgotten car is? The compact sedan. Not expensive to buy, cheap to run, and they're great. This Sentra is fantastic. Also coming up this week, we go the opposite of that. On Wednesday, it's going to be the Lexus LX 600, the big body-on-frame Lexus SUV. That video is going to drop on Wednesday. And Saturday, a lot of people have been waiting for it, is the Acura MDX, the Type S, the more powerful one with the twin turbocharged V6 engine. So that will be on Saturday. Other vehicles we have coming up, we have the full length video in about a week of the CX-50 from Mazda. And we're also going to be driving the new Nissan Rogue with the 3-cylinder turbo engine. So that's all still to come. Don't forget to, if you're looking for a used car, go on canadadrives.ca and you can shop all of their inventory throughout British Columbia, the GTA of Southern Ontario, and throughout all of Alberta. They're going to be adding the rest of Canada as they go along. canadadrives.ca. You shop online for used. You fill out your application. You even get your credit approved, and then they deliver it to you in a trailer to your house the next day. Also, carcostcanada.com. So canadadrives.ca, carcostcanada.com is where you find all of the information about a brand new car, what the dealer paid for the car, any incentives, rebates, special offers, hidden rebates, all of that at carcostcanada.com. You put in the promo code Motormouth, that's the name of the channel, and you become an expert member. Okay, so that's the business side out of it. By the way, if you just have to get a question answered, you can always do a super chat, a small donation to the channel, and it flags it for me to see. And because we get lots and lots of people writing questions, I don't get to them all, but I do get to the super chats because they pop up as special looking in my screen. Okay, we have, before we get to the news, I'm going to do the pictures first, and let's see what we got here. First of all, this is beautiful. This is from Scott, North Carolina. He was out walking the neighborhood and stumbled across this GT3. That looks like a 997 GT3, with the big wing in the back, the 3.8 liter. Great car. Then we have Seaforth or Seafoam. I'm trying to remember the name of the email. Didn't get a name, but the car is stunning. Look at that. That is a 2015 Boxster GTS with a 6-speed manual transmission. I love the spider wheels. This is the last of the flat 6 Boxsters. They made them up to 2016. Caymans as well. They brought them back last year with the special trims, but that is a car that speaks to me. I love it in the red. Looks really good. The next one is from Stan, who has a Sentra SR with a manual transmission. So we have the Sentra video drops tomorrow, and one of the, well, I can tell you right now, a Sentra is not available in the United States with a manual transmission, but it is in Canada. Next is Maurizio. He sent a picture of his Accord hybrid. Smart guy driving a hybrid right now. He debadged and de-chromed. So it's a black and white configuration. We did the same thing with our Porsche Cayenne. I got rid of the chrome badging and went to just Porsche black on the back. This is a cool one. This is from Brandon. 2017 Mercedes-Benz E400 wagon. He picked this up as a certified pre-owned car with just 40,000 kilometers on the clock. That is a fantastic car. That will always hold its value. That might even go up in value as station wagons are disappearing. And the last one is Ian sent in a picture of his Kia Forte, brand new with the bow on top. It's a 2022 model in Ontario, and he said he watched our video, our review of the Forte, and bought the car. So well done to you, Ian. Okay, now we get in. Oh, by the way, I always forget to do this. If you want to get a question in, not a question, a picture in, it's Zach at motormouth.ca. ZACK at motormouth.ca. I'll Americanize it for you. That's ZACK at motormouth.ca. So send your pictures in, and hopefully we'll get it on a future live stream for you. Okay, into the news we go. EV raw materials are shooting way up. This is the big story in the last week. Tesla put up their prices. Rivian put up their prices. So the input cost to build electric cars, because of some major raw materials like nickel, for example, BASF, the German company, talking about it used to cost $10,000 for a ton of nickel that goes into making a lot of electronic components, has gone from $10,000 per ton to $100,000 per ton. And the estimate on Automotive News today is that the input cost to make a Tesla Model Y has now increased by $6,000. You heard right, $6,000 more to make that car, never mind market and sell it to you. So the prices of Teslas have shot up in the last week. In fact, twice last week, Tesla raised the price. And here in the Canadian market, I checked the website, a base model, the cheapest Tesla you can buy in Canada now is $63,000. And if you want the all-wheel drive Model 3, it's roughly $73,000. And if you want it with the self-driving feature, it's $83,000. Now keep in mind what you're buying here. For $63,000, you're getting roughly 400 kilometers of range. You're getting rear-wheel drive only with a substandard interior build quality, in my opinion. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So that's going to be something to watch. Also, Volkswagen is going to be bringing more production to North America because they have issues with Eastern Europe and they get components from Ukraine. And they're actually still building wiring looms in Ukraine for German brands mostly. And that is continuing there, but they're going to try and make more stuff in North America. What else can I tell you? Toyota is going to be slowing production over the next little while. So they had a major slowdown due to the chip shortage in the fall of last year. Then they ratcheted up production worldwide, and now they're throttling it back a little bit. So between input costs, inflation, price of energy, chip shortage, buying cars is going to be tricky. All right. Okay, let's get into, by the way, we have 160 people on board. If we could do a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. I think it helps. I'm not sure. Here's our first question. Hi, Zach. What's your favorite non-M BMW 3 Series generation? Well, I'm a bit of an outlier here, as I like the E36. I always liked that car. I like the kind of squarish shoulders to it and the square front end. The E46, of course, is fantastic, but the E46, it's not exactly without its issues, but I don't know. I would say E36. You don't see many of them around. I saw a beautiful Estral Blue E36 not long ago. It looked great. Carter Ip, traveling to Vancouver this summer and looking to rent an interesting car. Any experience with Turo? Seems like a good choice for people wanting a long-term test drive as well. Never used it. Excuse me. Something's gone down the wrong way. I've never used it. I know there's a new Tesla rental. There's a Tesla rental company here. If that floats your boat, if you want to take a Tesla for a week, you can do that. Sanjib says, hey, Zach, which would you choose and why? A 2022 Nissan Pathfinder SL, 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland L. Both are nice. Nissan reliability and styling, etc. These are both first-year cars, right? So anytime you get a brand new model of something, there is a likelihood that there will be more issues. Not saying there will be, there's a greater likelihood. Now, the other thing is the Overland in the Jeep. I like it if you want to have air suspension. The ability to raise or lower the vehicle if you're going through off-road or going through deep snow, those sorts of things. Now, we know because of the chip shortage, they took that out of the build of the Overland. So make sure if you're going to look at that, and make sure it's being put back in. As I think they only give you like a $1,200 credit if they don't build the car with the air suspension. It's worth way more, in my opinion, to have it than to save $1,200. So if I was shopping for those two vehicles, I kind of like the Grand Cherokee with that air suspension, and it's bigger, I think, inside as well. Hey, we have our first super chat. Thoughts on a 2022 X3 M40i versus an SQ5? Currently, I have an 18 S5 would like more versatility, comfort. Also considering X5 40M Sport as it's similar money. Well, you get. We'll go cut right to my answer. You get way more vehicle with the X5. Okay, the X5 comes standard with the inline six, the 440i, as you know. You get a much nicer interior, higher build quality materials on the inside, a more practical size. It's not going to be as nimble and small as those other two vehicles, but I think it offers a lot more value in relative terms than the others, because the X3, when you equip it with the higher performance engine, the price ratchets way up. Right? You're paying a lot just to have the engine. Now I know they include extra M performance steering and things like that, but it's a family SUV. It's not a sports car. I would suggest that the X5 is the best buy because that engine comes standard equipment. Okay, so take the X5 out of the equation. Between the SQ5 and the X3, it's X3 all day long, because as good as the SQ5 is with the turbocharged V6, the inline six-cylinder that BMW has in that X3 is spectacular. So you're either going to go X3, M40i, or just go right to the X5. For me, it would be right to the X5. All right, let's go back to where we were here. Come on, Zach, where are you? I'm right here. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Zach, love the channel. I've narrowed down my next vehicle to either a Kia Carnival or Sienna. Can't find either to test drive. Gas prices have me going Sienna. Thoughts? You know what? It's never a wrong idea to buy a Toyota hybrid. I mean, they're not just some of the most reliable Toyotas, they're some of the most reliable vehicles, period. Now, with every brand there can be issues, and the Toyota Sienna hybrid is not really fun to drive in any way. It's all about being practical. It's all about the brain over the heart, right? So I would say the Carnival's a little bit more heart-driven. It's got the V6 engine. It's got arguably a nicer interior. I think it probably looks better. It's a cheaper vehicle. You know, on paper, if you just ticked all the boxes, you go, well, maybe it's the Carnival. But to your point, you're lugging around this big box on wheels. So that's really what you're buying. You're not buying an SUV to be sporty and fun and have lots of power. You're buying a box on wheels to lug snotty-nosed kids around and throw them in and out of the back. Don't throw them. Place them in and out of the back and get it all dirty and then vacuum it out and all that. That's what minivans are for. So, you know, your thought about having a hybrid minivan in this environment, if you can get one, isn't a bad idea. Now, if the dealer doesn't have a Sienna hybrid, see if they have a Highlander hybrid, because they share the same platform and the same engines and all that kind of stuff. So the Highlander hybrid is as close as you're going to get, but the Sienna hybrid is kind of a step down in terms of performance versus that one. Okay? We have a super chat from Bin. Don't see her. Here's your question. Hey, Zach, my current 3-year lease will end on the QX50. My current lease and QX50 buyout versus new 2022 Audi A4. Worry about the QX50 long-term reliability, but I heard there will be an all-new A4 in 2023. Want to know your opinion. I don't know about the timing for an A4. The A4 is very long in the tooth. It's been around for a long time. There was a mild facelift they did to it a year or so ago. They changed kind of the front of it a little bit. Actually, Andrew and I did a video on it, so you can go back and watch it on the channel. They've gone away from the MMI controller into a touch screen for integration of Apple and Android. I prefer the old system over the touchscreen, but I will say one thing about the Audi A4. It's one of my favorite cars just to drive. I think it's a great driving car. It's a nice size. It's easy to use. They've proven to be fairly reliable. It's a really nice car, and it's the basis for a lot of Audi products. They call it the A4 family. So it's A4, S5, all those fastbacks, you name it. So keep your one thing I want you to consider is, okay, so your lease is coming up. Where's your question? Sorry, I missed it there. So your lease is coming up to the end of the QX50. Okay, please do not hand the car back to them at the end. All right, you might want to consider buying the car if you have like a line of credit that you can buy the car, and then maybe trade it in, or if they have an Audi dealer, because the thing is, we'll pick round numbers here. Say that Infiniti was $40,000 and the buyout at the end of the lease is $20,000. It's worth more than $20,000 in the market right now. So that means you've paid for that $20,000, but there's some money left on the table. The dealer's going to buy it and then flip it for $25,000, right? So you've got to try and figure out how you can get some of that equity, because the market's gone up, into your pocket, maybe roll it into the next car. One way to do that is to buy it. Another way to do it is to do something like a lease takeover. Someone can take your lease over and you charge them a fee and you say, I will sell you my lease at the end for like $3,000 or $4,000. And then they're actually buying the car less than it would be in the marketplace. A bit complex. Now, so Car Cost Canada, look at that, popped up behind me. The sister company they have is called leasebusters.com. Leasebusters.com. So when your vehicle is about to end its lease, you can consider putting it up on leasebusters.com, and then you get somebody to pay you $2,000 or $3,000 to take over your lease. So when they have that piece of paper, they actually buy the car out at that predetermined price. We've already established it's going to be $20,000. If they were going to go out in the marketplace and buy that car competing against everybody else, they would maybe have to pay $25,000 for it. So for just a few $1,000s, you're giving them the opportunity to buy that car from Infiniti for a predetermined price. Does that make sense? I hope it does. There's a super chat from Sylvani. I hope I said it right. I don't see your question here. Here's Robert with a super chat. Hi Zach, great content. Keep it up. In the market for a high trim Silverado or Ram. Have not seen any recent reviews for trucks lately. What would you recommend? I'll be honest with you. Pickup trucks really aren't our wheelhouse on this channel. The wheelhouse for us are really, I know that pickup trucks are the biggest sellers in North America, but that's not really what our channel specializes in, mostly family kind of cars. So we do pickup trucks once in a while. From the times that I've driven these vehicles, I would say that it's quite easy to spot when you get in and out of them that the Ram has the nicest interior. The Ram also has the nicest ride because it's got a coil spring rear spring setup. The Silverado is a fantastic product as well. So I don't think there's much in it. Dodge has done well in terms of quality scores recently, but Ram has not. And Chevrolet has continued to exceed the market when it comes to quality scores from J.D. Power for initial quality and long-term dependability, and that's a 3-year study. So if I was going to put my money on a horse to go the long distance, I would probably put it on the Chevrolet. So that's something to consider. I think that the Ram has a lot more show, nicer interior, arguably better looking, but the Silverado is, I think is probably for long-term ownership a better choice. The 5.3 versus the 5.7, I think it's the 5.7, but there are options now, especially at General Motors. You can get that inline 6-cylinder diesel, which is fantastic. Also get the diesel in the Ram. Those I would be looking at if you could get one. The problem is they're very expensive. Here's Stephen Wong. When will EVs get cheaper? I feel like EV market's so heard to be more consumer side instead of luxury side. I think the Bolt and Leaf can be really good EVs. So those are kind of the choices you have now. If you want to have inexpensive vehicles that are electrified, you're looking at basically compact to subcompact hatchback car replacements. So the hard news is a Chevy Bolt is a great value at $38,000 Canadian, or I think it's 35 in the US. And then you add in any kind of rebates or discounts you get on it. But the problem is it's just really the same size as a Honda Fit. And most people want bigger vehicles. I think those are the you've nailed the two really. And the Hyundais and Kias are right in there as well, like the Niro and the Kona and so on. But I think the real leader when it came to value was the brand new Chevy Bolt that came out last summer, and they had to go and catch fire and then stop sales. We're hearing that maybe production is going to start up in April. We're also hearing that they might just shelve the whole idea altogether. It's too bad because I'm a huge fan of the Bolt. I think even the base model is nicely equipped. It's a load of fun to drive. It goes like stink. It's just small and zips around. It's big enough that most people can use it, but that's the issue we have. And back to my initial thoughts at the beginning of the show, the input costs for EVs. So yes, we have we have a lot of forces at play here going on with high fuel prices, supply chain constraints, and then you've got the war added on top of that, and the prices of the raw materials going into these things is shooting way up. But I truly believe the long-term play for EVs, even if the Ukrainian war was settled tomorrow and both economies started to open up over the next 6 months or so, the battle for raw materials in the EV space is going to be fierce. Every single car company is going to be making more electrified vehicles, all chasing the same raw materials. So when you have a supply and demand differential like that, the prices go up. So the idea that there's going to be all these cheap EVs, I'm not holding my breath for that. Here's Jerome, our friend from Quebec, with another super chat. Thank you very much, Jerome. Hello, Zach. Hope the family's well. Should we expect car makers to go even farther on cutting costs to build cars since materials are so expensive? Well, we're seeing things being deleted from cars. I was reading a Jalopnik article talking about cars being delivered without touchscreens. And we're seeing that with BMW. They're delivering certain models without touchscreens. You can use, obviously, their iDrive interface, which I prefer anyway. But yeah, the car companies are taking things out. We heard about no heated seats in General Motors cars. Some cars are being delivered with no power adjustable steering wheel, like Porsches. So yeah, they're cutting corners any way they can in order to get vehicles out. And then they hope to have a recall campaign to get the vehicles back in, and where they can add in that functionality again. But as I've been mentioning for a long time, it's not a great time to be out there fighting with everybody else for a new vehicle or a used vehicle. Everybody's car, for the most part, is going to continue to work. You don't need to have a new car. You want to have a new car. Unless you had an accident, the car is being written off, you're going through a divorce and you have to liquidate your assets. The car just, exploded and you have to get a new product. Like, people do have to replace cars. Things do happen. But for the vast majority of people, their good old trusty ride will continue to work. We'll have to wait and see if things improve, but right now is not the best time to be out there battling everybody else for a new whip. Here's Salty T. So CX50 or wait for the CX70 and that inline 6. Yeah, so we don't know all of the details about the CX. Is it the CX70 or CX90? CX90. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of new Mazda cars and SUVs coming over the next little while. The CX50 is nice. We actually did more filming with it the last few days. The video embargo lifts a week tomorrow. That's the 28th. And we get to put out our driving impressions of it. But I like the way it looks. I like the interior. I think they did a very good job with it. We'll just have to wait until the video comes out. Lauren is saying, how does the mother-in-law love her new Tucson? My PHEV due to be built within the next couple of weeks. She loves it because she's feeling very clever that she got a plug-in hybrid electric car just as fuel prices shot through the roof. So, you know, Andrea's mom is retired. She lives in suburban Vancouver. There's a lot of driving around suburban areas, going to the mall, grocery shopping, drugstore, all that kind of stuff. And they don't use any gas. I mean, they love it. So, yeah, they're very happy with it. Now, at their age, it took a little bit of coaching to get them up to speed on the electronics and features of the car. But now they know all the basic stuff they need to use regularly and are quite comfortable with it. Hey, Zach, any plans to review the Audi A3 soon? Yes, we've been bugging the local dealer to get one, and they haven't made one available yet, but we're working on it. Hey, Jack, what do you know about the Toyota Highlander XSE? Well, it's a great product, and the XSE, yeah, there's, you know, the Toyota Highlander, I really like it. It's one of the better vehicles. The only issue we have with the Highlander is that to get the larger infotainment screen, you got to go to the top package, and then you have to add on a package on top of that. So select the top trim, okay, spendy. And by the way, we're not done yet. You want the big screen? Let's add another spendy package. So unfortunately, that's the way they've designed their product planning. So that's my really only critique about it. I think it's a good product, well put together. It's going to do what it's going to do. So there you go. Should I just go ahead and replace my 17 Elantra with a 2022? With used car prices the way they are, would it be upgrading at 50% off? With used car prices the way they are, it would be like upgrading at 50% off. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So I think what you're basically saying is the resale value of your 17 Hyundai is high, and then you can buy the 2022 model at a fixed price. That's the big difference between Canada and the United States. In the United States, we hear all these stories of people charging, or dealers charging thousands and thousands of dollars over MSRP. It's not really allowed in Canada. They kind of sneak around it by adding accessories to the car. But the reality is, if you can get a dealer to sell you at MSRP, you're only paying for the differential. It's a better car. It is a better car than the old one. I'm not totally sold on the design of it, though. I mean, obviously you like it. If you're considering it, I think I prefer the look of the Forte better. But if you like that kind of angular looking Elantra, there's nothing wrong with it. So you need to run the numbers and figure out what you're going to get for your car and what they're going to charge you for the new one. But there's a lot of value. The prices of these cars haven't shot up a lot. Back to this, compact car thing I'm talking about. So people are complaining that vehicles are expensive, fuel prices are high, and everybody's out there battling for the same vehicles. They're all out there chasing SUVs. Look where people aren't buying. We had somebody with their picture they sent in a moment ago, an Accord hybrid. An Accord is a great car. Not a ton of people shopping for Accords. Great on fuel. Get a hybrid, even better. Same thing for these small cars. Like this car here, wait till you see the video tomorrow, really nicely equipped, all in for 26,000 Canadian. And the one that Andrea showcased as her best value trim was like 22,000 US. You know, there's a lot to be said for buying a small car over an SUV. Stephanie, nice to see you. Hey, Zach, what are your thoughts on the Jeep Wrangler? There is never a bad time to buy a Jeep Wrangler. And here's the reason why. They're cool, first of all. They have a real truck feel. So don't go into it thinking it's going to be like a Ford Escape. It's going to be like driving a Jeep with a bumpy suspension. You feel the road because it's capable of doing some pretty incredible stuff. Enjoy it because it's fun, it's cool, looks great. You can take the roof off, get a tan, all of that kind of stuff. The number one reason why a Wrangler is always a good idea is the resale value is absolutely killer. In the Canadian market, the Jeep Wrangler has the highest resale value of any vehicle sold. I think it's been 10 years in a row now. So you buy one, you drive it for 3-4 years, you want to get rid of it, you're going to get a huge amount of that money back. So all you're doing is basically the ownership cost is the difference between what you paid for it and what you can sell it for. and they sell for really incredible money. So yes, a Jeep Wrangler, not great on fuel unless you get the plug-in version, which I wouldn't get because it's too expensive. And enjoy it and have fun with it. And then when you want to get rid of it, smile all the way to the bank. Oh, here's Eric from Montreal. Hey, Montreal, Eric. How are you? Looking good there. Nothing more annoying than a car salesman in a position of power. Wouldn't give us the time of day because my dad said he was shopping for a few options. Yeah, well, this is a classic case of when you're buying a car, you're also buying the dealership. And I wrote a book. It's actually holding up my monitor here. It was basically a Canadian car buying guide. And I wrote a whole chapter on why people feel that they get intimidated when they go onto a used car lot. I'm not suggesting, Eric, you and your dad are in that situation, but a lot of people go onto a car dealership and they let the dealer have all the power. It's like, oh, you got to get this car, you got to pay this price, you need to get the undercoating, all that kind of stuff. And my analogy that I used when I wrote the chapter is still true today. You would not walk into the mall and go to a shoe store and put a pair of shoes on and they're too tight and walk around the shoe store and they're pinching your feet and say, yeah, I'll take them. Because that happens all the time in the car business. What I say is, say, thank you, these aren't right for me. Walk out of that shoe store, go down the mall and into another shoe store. But it's not just the car and how it fits you. It's also the dealership. So if you go to a dealership and the guy's a dick and he's treating you poorly and he's being rude and or she is being rude and not giving you the time of day, you know what you do? You say, this isn't the right fit for me. These shoes don't fit. You walk out of that store and you go down the road and you go to the next one. There are very few brands where you're not going to have multiple stores. It may be like a Porsche or a Lamborghini or a Bentley dealer or Aston Martin. There might be only one of those near where you live. But if it's a Ford or a Toyota or a Honda or whatever, they're everywhere. And so the good dealers train their staff. And the good dealers are a good fit for you. So if you go into a dealer and the guy's being a jerk and dismissing you because they don't want to deal with you. Actually, what I even said in the book was, when you walk into a dealership, this is one way to test whether they've been trained properly. You just say, I'm not here to buy a car today. I'm just looking around. I want to find out if this dealership and you are the right match for me. And they'll be like, who is this guy? And you say to them, because I'm not just buying the car, I'm buying the dealership. I want to see if you've been trained properly on how to treat me as a customer. And if they still deal with you properly, even though they know you're not going to buy a car that day, then that's somebody who's been trained well and knows how to look after their customers. If you walk in there, and by the way, I know Eric's dad has had some fancy cars, so he can obviously afford a nice car. And they blow a guy like that off, they don't deserve their money. So walk out of that shoe store, down the mall, and try on another pair. I should find that chapter. That was a good chapter. I like that chapter. It's holding up my monitor. Oh, by the way, I'm very excited. Just ordered a new Mac Studio. And you talk about supply constraint. I ordered it last week. I might have told you this last week. I ordered it last week, and they said, delivery expected in June. I also ordered another monitor. So I'm very excited about getting my Mac Studio. So that's on the way. So that's Apple. I ordered a new Samsung Ultra 5 weeks ago. Still waiting. Must be being made in Korea right now. What are your thoughts about the 2022 330e PHEV? I'll tell you the truth. I haven't driven the latest one. I've driven the old. Yeah, it's been a few years since I've driven one. It's the best value. It's interesting that BMW actually made the plug-in hybrid version the one that you can get into for the least amount of money. So don't go into any of these new plug-ins from BMW with the expectation that you're going to get incredible EV range. However, you're going to average down your fuel costs. And the good news is BMW doesn't charge a ton more money to get that plug-in. So a lot of companies in the non-premium space, they charge a lot of money to get the plug-in. BMW's kind of going around it the other way. They're making their plug-ins some of the most accessible. And the 3 Series has long been one of the most accessible products in their lineup. So yeah, you're not going to get monster range out of it, but you're going to average down your fuel costs. So I say, yeah, go for it. If you like it, if you drive it and you think it's good. Okay, I'm missing one here. Oh, here it is. Hi, Zach. What's your preference on these 3 models? Genesis G70 V6, so the turbo V6, the G80 4-cylinder Prestige trim, the G80 with a 4-cylinder, and the Genesis GV70 4-cylinder Prestige trim. The G80 4-cylinder. Are you sure? Just trying to remember. I haven't driven a G80 in a long time. I guess it is. Maybe it's because I haven't driven in a long time. Because it used to be with the 6-cylinder and the V8. So yeah, I guess it's been that long since I've driven a G80. Okay, of those, okay, so you're mixing a bit of apples and oranges. So the GV70 4-cylinder was our top pick for compact luxury crossover vehicle. There's a video we did recently of our top 5 picks. The GV70 was number 1. Now, of the sedans, I would say unless you need the space, then I would go a G70. It's a great fun car, especially if you get the inline 6-cylinder. Gonna throw a curve at you. Have you thought, while they're still available, I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be available, is the Kia Stinger GT top trim, same engine as the G70. So you're getting the turbocharged engine, and fully loaded is less expensive. And you get a bigger car, and you get a huge liftgate at the back with an enormous amount of storage. So you're kind of getting your cake and eating it too. You're getting more utility in a bigger car with the performance and fun similar to what you get in the G70. So put that on your shopping list. Plus, it's a cool looking car. And they have a beautiful suede optional interior. So go on the channel and look up the top 5 luxury compact SUVs. GV70 is our number 1 choice. And there's an updated video on the G70 from last year. And also last year we did the Stinger GT. Very cool car. So those are 3 to consider. So if you're looking at car, I would say G70 or Stinger. If you're looking for SUV, go GV70. And that 4-cylinder turbo is fantastic. I'm going to look into that G80 though. That's interesting. A super chat from Sylvana, but no question. Well, that's very nice of you. Appreciate that. Okay, back up we go. We'll get to our other questions here. All right, we have 416 on board right now and 120 thumbs up. So if you guys can do a thumbs up, that would be great. Corvette fan is asking, what do you think of the 2022 Buick Envision? We really liked it a lot, actually. You know the biggest knock against that car that we got from people? It's made in China. And I don't see why people are so freaked out about that. I mean, this laptop's made in China. This screen is made in China. This camera's made in China. A lot of stuff we buy is made in China, but you couldn't buy a car from there. That's the way people framed it on the comments. But I'm going to go through this again. And I always talk about this because people just don't understand. And there's the huge difference between perception and the actual studies that go on. The perception is American car companies don't know how to make good cars. They're junk. They fall apart. Why would anybody buy one? The reality is the General Motors divisions actually score above average. And the one division that scores above average year after year after year, I would guarantee it's about 10 years now, not only in initial quality, but long-term dependability, is Buick. Buick often is in the top 5. It's just a brand that they have very good quality control, I like the look of the car. There's a video that Andrew and I did on it from last summer, I believe. Yeah, so I have no problem with that car at all. All right, we have another super chat here. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm just being greedy and doing the super chats. It's just one way for you to get my attention if you just have to have your question answered. So it pops up on my screen as this bright, yellow thing, so I know it's there. So that's really all. And it's a small donation to the channel to help pay for my very, very, very expensive computer I bought. It was very expensive. A lot of money. All right. Here's the question. Hi, Zach. I have to buy a new vehicle. I'm looking at Kicks or Soul, being on a tight budget and living in Ontario. Narrowed down these two crossover. Which one would you pick? Okay, so these are both excellent choices, and they're both totally fine. They're both front-wheel drive vehicles. Both come with continuously variable transmissions. Now, the difference you're going to get with the Kia product is a longer warranty, if that's an issue to you. I really like them. I think for the Kicks, you have to go kind of one up from the base to get, I believe, Apple and Android, unless that has been changed last year. I tell you what, I'm doing this from memory, but last summer, Andrea and I did a review of the updated Kicks when it came out. So it's still true today. Whatever we said in that video will carry forward for this year. I haven't driven a Soul in quite a few years. Every time I drove one, I really liked it. They're both fantastic products. But go back and watch that Nissan Kicks video. I'll tell you this. Every single time I drive a Kicks, I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, neither of these has all-wheel drive. So that's not a bad thing. All you need to do living in Ontario is try and budget, some extra few $100s and buy yourself a good set of quality winter tires. Now, you don't have to go crazy. You can go to Costco. Costco has good deals on tires, and order nothing too crazy, but a good brand, a brand that's well known, and that's all you need for driving in Ontario, where the roads are cleared quite quickly after big snowstorms. Either one of them is fine. But yeah, I'm a fan of the Kicks. Here's another one from Richard, another super chat. Just wanted to ask, what service or accessories would you get for a new car coupe in Vancouver? Also, thoughts on the 718 EV. What service or accessories? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, you might want to consider getting the paint ceramic coated. If you're spending a lot of money on a sports car, hey, listen. It's not cheap to ceramic coat the paint, but it's an extra layer of protection. If, however, your sports car often spends a lot of time sitting, if, however, it sits in the garage most of the time, and you're not parking on the street where birds and trees dump crap on all the time, then you might not want to spend that money. But accessories, I don't know. So probably ceramic coating would be the only one. And what do I think of the 718 EV? Yeah, well, we kind of knew it was coming. I remember being with the head of, well, where were we now? We were in Estoril, in Portugal, driving the Boxster and Cayman GTS, the 4-liter, talking to the head of engine development. This was almost 2 years ago. Yeah, it'd be 2 years ago now. And just before COVID hit, and talking about the Boxster. And he said, who's to say that the next ones are going to be have gas engines? And I thought for a second, he's basically telling me the next Boxster and Cayman will be electric. And that's exactly what's been officially unveiled. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. I remember also being in Stuttgart for an event where it was the 1 millionth 911 that came off the factory at Zuffenhausen, where the Porsche factory and museum are. And we had the head of 911 engineering, and I asked him about hybridization for that, and he said there were no plans for 911 hybrid. So that was a news flash, and that went around the world. Yeah, it's inevitable. They're going to have more of these things. All right, almost 450 on board with 190 thumbs up. Thank you for that. All right, let's go back to our questions. By the way, Jack isn't going to pop in tonight. He's at a friend's house watching the March Madness. the NCAA basketball, and he talked Andrea and I into doing a bracket. My bracket got blown the first the first couple of games. I'm out of it. I got no chance of winning. Andrea's got a shot, but I think there's a couple $100 in this pool for the bracket. All right, let's get some more questions going here. Harpreet is saying hello from Moncton, New Brunswick. So first day of spring. Hopefully you guys are thawing out there. When will EVs get cheaper? It feels like the EV market needs to head to be more consumer side. I think we talked about that. Yeah, it's not going to happen very quickly, if at all. Hey, Zach, any updates on chip shortage? Which brands are supply recovering, if any? It goes kind of in waves. I think for some of the brands, the worst is behind them. Volkswagen is feeling it. Not only Volkswagen feeling it on the chip side, now they're dealing with their Eastern European part suppliers in the Ukraine, and production is being constrained because of that. Toyota has gone through a big slowdown last fall. So yeah, it shifts around from brand to brand, but we're going to be in this horrible inflationary period for I don't know how long. Because now the other thing you got to remember is 25% of the world's grain that we use for bread comes from Russia and Ukraine. Massive suppliers. What's that going to do to costs? You know, the inflation, the inflation just keeps going up and up and up. And all of the central bankers say, oh, it's going to move through the economy, and it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like this is pretty sticky. So the update on the chip shortage is it's affecting everybody to differing degrees. The best way to know is just drive by the car lots and look. The Toyota dealer, as I mentioned every week, near me has got no cars, none. 2019 BMW 750 leases up, 54,000 buyout. Kilometers are under, very low. Would you keep it? In 2 years, do you think I can sell it? Yeah, I mean, you can sell anything. The problem is you bought a car that has some of the least amount of interest in it. And I've talked about it many times before, is in the German space especially, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So the big sedans depreciate the fastest. So the 7 Series might be one of those few that doesn't keep up with the market. So as the market has been going up for used cars, those big luxury German sedans, as they age out, become a liability, and that's why the prices go down so much. So what you might want to do is, back to my initial point I talked about earlier, is go on like leasebusters.com and see if there are people getting money thrown at them to buy their lease out. And also go to Auto Trader and places like that and see what they're going for. And you'll get a pretty good idea at $54,000 whether you're at the market, below the market, or above the market. My suspicion is that 54,000 buyout is going to be below the market, which means there's some equity in there. So should you keep it for 2 years? Well, yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful car, but if the world starts to normalize in any kind of way, so post-COVID, oil prices, chip shortage, inflation starts to ease, will we start to see used cars prices come down? Well, those deflationary effects on the large German sedans will then pick up again. So the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So we might have seen sort of large S-Class and 7 Series depreciation slow down because of this. But if things normalize, they could just continue to go down. So you're going to have to try and time the market a little bit. So you're going to have to do some research on that. So there you go. That's kind of my long-winded answer. Okay, I think I missed a couple of other super chats. All right, here we go. Jeff Fraser. Hi, Zach. Yes, it wasn't bad enough with Toyota chip cut back. Oh, yeah, the earthquake in Japan. There's another one. Another blow to the body. It's affected Takoka plant, I believe is how you say it. or the Harrier Venza's assembled. My new 2022 Venza, 6-month plus wait. I totally forgot about that. So much news about everything else. Yeah, they had their, 7.2 magnitude earthquake. And so Toyota is closing down 11 production facilities in Japan. Now, it's not long term. I think it's for a week. But yeah, how many more body blows can we take? Hell on Wheels. Wristwatch check, please. This, I just got back from the watchmaker, is an early 70s, this is called a Seiko 5 UFO. It's an early 70s Seiko 5 with an orange dial. I just had to buy it because of the orange dial. And I bought the bracelet to go with it. That's the original style bracelet. And it was not working properly, so I took it to the watchmaker and he fixed it up. But there you go. It's not an expensive watch. Just kind of quirky and different, and not very common. And a Seiko 5 UFO, it's called. Jacqueline with a super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm not sure if you had a question, because I feel bad if you have a question. You can go ahead and type below if you do have one. All right. Let's go back up to the top here. Here's John Wong. Why is Honda selling their cars much more than their competitors? This is an interesting question. The one I don't have for you. They obviously believe that their brand has enough pull that they can get away with charging more. And you know what? Andrew and I talk about this. And whenever we do, we have our segment in the videos called For Your Consideration, 4 cars for you to consider. Whenever we pull up a Honda as a competitive vehicle, it's always more expensive than its competitive set. The Honda Civic now in the Canadian market, we'll just round it from $24,500. It's basically $25,000 now for a frickin' Honda Civic. They used to be $16,000, $17,000. They got rid of the base model. The CR-V is more expensive than its competitors, even though it's ancient. Yeah, I mean, we did the Honda Odyssey minivan last week as a review. It starts at $48,000 for a minivan. That's wackadoodle. So, yeah, it's just, they obviously believe that they have more pull. I don't think they do. Their quality scores don't show that. Honda has been falling down in quality over the last few years compared to Toyota, definitely compared to Toyota. But Toyota, in my opinion, is a better run company. They have a laser focus on pricing, quality, and you look at the Corolla, for example. You can still get a Corolla in the Canadian market for under $20,000. Their direct competitor, the Civic, starts at $25,000. Now, obviously the Civic's got more stuff in it, but for people who just want an inexpensive, reliable, runaround car and want a Corolla, they're saving a lot more money on that. So same thing with the RAV4. The RAV4 is cheaper than the CR-V. It's newer. They have a hybrid where the CR-V isn't even available in our market with a hybrid. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand it. Another super chat. Thoughts on a 15 BMW M235 xDrive? I'm interested in for $26,000. It will be inspected for sure, but are the horror stories on older BMW all relevant? Okay, first of all, fantastic choice. Great car, wonderful car. Absolutely, you can be in for some headaches with an older BMW. No question about it. So things you want to get checked on a BMW are always suspension components can wear prematurely. So when you get the inspection done, make sure you ask them to check the suspension components. Cooling system can fail due to the fact that BMW uses a lot of plastic components in their cooling systems, and they can break and then it barfs out liquid everywhere. But the good news is, like if I was going to buy an older BMW, not saying a 2015 is that old, but say I was buying a 10-year-old BMW, if I was buying it, I would just budget to change the cooling system. I would get a new rad, a new fan, new water pump, upper and lower rad hoses, a new thermostat, and then it's all ready to go. So you might want to consider budgeting for that. Now the mechanic might say it's perfectly fine, and it could be. The other one are Vanos systems. Those are the variable valve control systems. They sometimes need maintenance. Those are things you want to get checked out. But overall, if you have a good independent shop that can do a good pre-purchase inspection for you and they give it a green light, you are in for one hell of a ride. That's the older version of the inline 6-cylinder 235. It was either 325 or 335 horsepower. You are going to love that car. It's just a great machine. Absolutely fantastic. And you got the all-wheel drive. The only thing you don't have is the manual, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll take it. All right, we're at $4.99 now, 230 thumbs up. You know, it's interesting. We might break the record of going over 500. That would be good for the first day of spring. And thank you for all the super chats. You guys are being very generous to me. Appreciate it. Freddie W. We have a 16 and 17 Hyundai Tucson and Santa Fe. If you lower back window, there is such an annoying noise. Why is that? Have you noticed that yourself? Okay, so Freddie, what you're noticing is nothing to do with the car. Of course, it has something to do with the car, but it's got nothing to do with the car brand. Nothing to do with your models. It's called wind buffeting. So when you roll down the window, you get this thump, 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 thump. And that's basically just the wind and the air moving in and out of the cabin. And it's this buffeting sound, and it crushes your ears, and it's a horrible sound. So what you need to do is you need to equalize out the pressure in the cabin. This is the easiest way to do it. So if you want to put the back window down, but you don't want that noise, maybe your dog's head likes to leave his head out the window, or whatever the reason is, you need to equalize the pressure in the cabin. So just lower the other window or lower the front passenger side window. So if you're rolling down the rear driver's side window, just roll down the front passenger window a little bit, and it just helps equalize out the pressure. Or roll down the rear passenger side window, and it really helps eliminate that. It's nothing to do, there's nothing wrong with the car. It's a very common effect. It's just called wind buffeting inside the cabin. So enjoy your car, enjoy your cars. They're great vehicles, and just try moving the windows up and down a little bit, and you'll get rid of that noise. And it pounds your ears, because what it's doing, it's pushing the pressure of the cabin, and the air pressure is pushing up against your ears. Vincent Wu, between all new CX-50 2.5 Turbo GT and Audi Q3 Technic, which one would you choose personally? Well, that's a very, very good question. So the Turbo GT in the Canadian market is $45,000, fully maxed out. Okay, and the Q3 Technic is going to be close, around 40, yeah, probably around the same price. But you're talking about one is bigger than the other. The CX-50 is longer, and it has more power. And it can run on regular gas as well. That's a very good question. I think it comes down to which one you like personality-wise. The Q3, you kind of sit up more upright as a traditional kind of utility, and the CX-50, you kind of sit a little bit lower, more in line with a kind of a wagon crossover. They're very different. Now, I can't really talk about driving dynamics because there is an embargo on driving impressions on the CX-50 until next Monday, believe it or not, because the Americans are getting their chance to drive that car this week. So that's a very good question. So that's as much as I can say right now. They're both great. I think it comes down to style and which one you like better. A few more super chats here. Local dealer offered to upgrade my 19 Honda Odyssey, valued at $32,500, to a 2022 price, one priced at $39,000, but there is $2,500 for market adjustment, $1,200 destination fee, and $900 dock fee. Good deal. Well, the market adjustment you can work on. I mean, they're just basically adding the price. And $900 for a dock fee is just absolutely absurd. I mean, dock fees used to be like $150, $200. Now you're seeing them $400, $500. Now you're asking $1,000. Basically, you're adding $1,000 to the price of the car. It's just an arbitrary fee that they've added to it. So, so you've got a vehicle that you have in the market that is worth good money used, and you're only paying the differential. So you can just swallow your pride and pay them their extra fees, knowing that you're basically you're getting a 3-year newer vehicle, and the differential between what you're getting it for and what the new one is a few $1,000s. So you could kind of go after them for the destination fee. You got to pay that. But the dock fee and the market adjustment fee, you could sing a song and say, listen, I'm a loyal customer. I'm coming back and buying another Honda from you. Come on, let's work on these fees, because they're just arbitrary price increases that the dealer's adding. So say to them, hey, I'll do you a deal on the car. Let's do the price, but let's work on those 2 fees. So you're obviously in the United States, because the prices are a lot higher here for an Odyssey. If you're getting at $39,000, here it's $48,000. Can you believe that? But yeah, if you can just get that you're not paying much difference anyway, but just get that value down. Hello, Zach and Andrea. Any particular new sports car you are excited to see launch in the next year or two? Keep up the good work. Oh, I'm just trying to think of ones off the top of my head that I'm excited to. Sports car. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's always nice to drive a new Porsche when they come out. Yeah, I really thank you for the super chat, but you kind of caught me flat-footed here. I'd have to go through all the upcoming, officially announced releases. But yeah, there you go. Okay, we have gone over the hour. Hey, and we're over 500 for the first time ever on the live chat. Thank you. That's a big honor. I appreciate it. And thank you very much for all of the super chats. I know, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to just rake in as many super chats as I can, but I have so many, because we've got 500 people on board now, people coming in. It's just one way for it to sort of come to my attention. So a quick recap. Sentra video drops tomorrow, special Monday extra video. Wednesday is the big dog, the Lexus LX 600, the body-on-frame SUV. Saturday, it's going to be the Acura MDX Type S. That's going to be on Saturday. And then a week from tomorrow, the 28th, the Monday, is when our first full-length review of the Mazda CX-50 is going to drop with everybody else's around North America, because that's when the embargo lifts. So there's just some of the videos coming up. A lot going on here on the channel, and thank you very much. I appreciate everybody being on board, and we'll chat with you next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and spring is finally here. Thank you, everyone.